Good morning, everyone. Grace and peace. Happy Tuesday. How are you guys doing this morning? All right. So listen, I want to start off by saying, listen, I apologize for yesterday. Now, I did upload episode 1 yesterday. All right. But I couldn't do it until maybe like late in the afternoon because I was having some problems with my computer. The internet had gone out the night before. Saturday, a crazy storm came in Saturday night, knocked out all of my internet, even knocked out, I guess it must have hit a cell tower or something, because even my cell phone wasn't working all day yesterday. So, and the signal was like really, really spotty. So like at times it would catch like a piece of a signal, and then at other times it would just be completely out. So that kind of stopped me from piecing episode 1 together yesterday. I'm sorry, not yesterday, but Sunday, and me trying to have it out in the morning by Monday morning yesterday. But after everything got back up and going with the internet and all of that stuff, I put everything together. And for some reason, it wouldn't process. I kept having problems with it processing. I had to delete it. I had to stop the process, keep trying to re-upload it 3 or 4 times, and then it'll just get to a certain point. It will stop. It was just a mess. It was just a mess. But I finally got it, and I didn't release it until maybe about 5, 6 o'clock yesterday evening. So, I do want to apologize for that. So hopefully y'all will be able to see this live stream in the morning as I pre-record it. All right. So hopefully y'all looking at this around the time that I want to upload it, which is around 10 a.m. All right. So, and I'm trying to do this daily, trying to keep some content going, keep some content flowing every day, because people have asked me to do it, and I'm going to try it out. But, thank you guys as always for showing up, supporting the channel, whether I'm live streaming, whether I'm uploading individual videos, whether or not I'm doing, premieres like this. Thank you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a hand clap for that. Thank you guys. Also, my supporters, go ahead and give y'all a horn and a hand clap. Because, for you guys, this is one of the reasons why I continue to keep doing this, is because you guys continue to support the channel. Some of y'all have been supporting the channel for a very long time, which I appreciate, and one of the reasons why I have people supporting the channel is because you guys was always hitting me up over the past 5 or 6 years. Alex, we want to support you. Where can we support? Where can we drop you some money? I had PayPal. People are just like, we kind of don't want to send it through PayPal because PayPal's taking out fees. And then I put Cash App. It's like, we don't want to deal with Cash App either. Although I still got Cash App down at the bottom, so anybody who wants to use Cash App, you can do it that way. But then when they came out with the members feature, I said, okay, if you guys want to go ahead and support that way, go ahead, become a member, or you can drop a super chat. So, guys, feel free to support however you feel led. But I'm going to tell you like this, just watching this video, watching my stuff and hitting that thumbs up button, that is good enough. All right. And what's even better is that when you guys hit that notifications bell, that helps out a lot, because when I do shows like this, you get a notification, and you guys will be right here on time. Now, if you guys realize that I'm wearing a hat right now, all right, now this is a hat. You guys have probably seen a couple of people rock this hat. I think Nick Norelli has a hat like this, and Brother JP has a hat like this. I can't remember who else has one. I think Brother Vocab Malone. I think those are the 3 people that I've seen with this particular hat. And And by the grace of God, I got one too, man. So, first of all, I want to shout out to Brother Yandale. Brother Yandale, and I don't know if he's going to be in the chat. He might stop by. If he does, brother, go ahead and, give us a salute. Say, hey, it's Brother Yandale. I'm the author, or I'm sorry, I'm the designer behind this hat. But yeah, this is Brother Yandale. He has a heating and air business. I don't know if y'all can see that. Because the further I go in, it gets blurry, but I got to kind of go back. So, I kind of got to go back. It's like a camera's in far sight mode. But this is Torres Heating and Cooling. All right. Torres Heating and Cooling. He owns his own HVAC company. I think he's out there in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Brother Yandale, if you're in the chat, go ahead and correct me on that. Let everybody know where you are and where they can get some heating and cooling. And listen, he's not paying me for this. All right. He ain't paying me to advertise. I'm doing this because, he has supported the channel. He does show a lot of support to other YouTubers as well. Good Christian brother. And this is how we support each other. This is how we support each other. But yeah, I was in Vocab Malone's chat, and I think Vocab had the hat on. And I said, hey man, I would like to get one of those hats. So he says, Alton, what's your address? So I said, okay. I gave him my address. I said, how much do you want for the hat? He said, don't even worry about it. I'll send it out to you for free. So, so I was led by the Spirit to send this hat for free. Thank you, Brother Yandale. Thank you, Brother Yandale. So the least I can do is support his business. Actually, let's do this before we get started. I'm gonna see where he is. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let's bring this up. All right. Gonna do a live Google search to see if we can find Torres Heating and Cooling. Go ahead and do a shameless plug right now. Torress. What is this? Okay. Oh, Torres. All right. No two S's, just one S. Torres Heating. Didn't press that space bar. All right, here we go. Let's try it again. Y'all know I'm getting old, man. I remember I used to be a whiz at, computers and technology. All right, so let's see where Torres Heating and Cooling is at. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. All right. Come on, Brother Yandale. Where's your website at? Oh, sorry, I got it set to news. Let me put all. All right. Don't need that. Pop-ups. Hold on now, is this it? Oh no, go back to all. There we go. Here we go. Torres HVAC. So y'all check this out. All right, Torres HVAC.com. So this is brother Torres, aka Yandale. That's his number right there. 775-475-9524. If you guys have any issues with your heating and cooling, and he is in Nevada. All right. Let me see exactly where he is. What city he is in. Okay. I don't know exactly where it is, but he's in Nevada. I want to say, I don't know. Hold on. Oh, Reno. He's in the Reno area. All right. He's in the Reno, Nevada area. So if you guys want to check him out, all right, he says the northern Nevada area. So I guess, I don't know if Reno is in the northern Nevada area, but if you guys live in the northern Nevada area and you need heating and cooling, which I know y'all do, y'all out there in the desert, Torres HVAC, y'all. Torres HVAC. But yeah, listen, once again, thank you guys for showing up. And I know that first episode, it was pretty long. All right, it was close to like 3 hours. And I know not many people watched it because it was like so late in the day. And, people don't really like premieres. People like being able to engage live. But, once again, I can't engage live right now because I actually have a full-time job. I'm supposed to be doing that job, in the morning time. So, I don't know. Lord willing, if the Lord blesses me to a point where I could do these shows live, I will not have a problem doing them live every morning. All right. But for now, y'all got to get the premiere. So anyway, yesterday, that premiere was about 3 hours long. So I said, today, I'm going to try to keep it maybe around an hour and a half or so, not to try to bore y'all too much. Trying to cover too many topics. I think I covered about 5 topics or so. So I think I'm only going to cover 2 today, which is we're going to be talking about Robert Morris, and we're going to be talking about that Allie Beth Stuckey interview that she did where she was talking about black churches and the prosperity gospel and how that is like really, really prevalent in the black churches, and she's asking a lady that she was interviewing. I can't remember the name of the lady, but we're going to get into that. And she was asking her like, okay, well, it seems like that the prosperity gospel is like really heavy in the predominantly black churches. And why is that? Okay. So we're going to be talking about that later. Now, I do have that part of the interview queued up. I haven't watched any of it. I've seen people do reactions to it. All right. But me, myself, I have not. So let me repeat. I have not seen it. So the part that I got queued up, we're going to watch that and I am going to react in real time. And I want to see if this is going to be a cooning without a moment. All right. Because we know we ain't done a cooning without a moment in a minute, but I think today going to be the day. Today is going to be the day where we do a cooning without a moment. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and just dive right into this. Okay, so let's talk about Robert Morris. Now, if you guys don't know, Robert Morris has been arrested. All right, so he's been arrested. And I think that I know I did a Christian news segment where he had been indicted, but he wasn't arrested. So apparently he has been arrested and, he went to jail. So let's get into some breaking news. All right. So I want to start out by reading this article from thechristianpost.com. And after we read this article, I'm going to play a video, and this is from Fox 4. And I think that so Fox 4 is in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. It's a local news station, and we're going to watch a 3-minute video from them, and we're going to try to give you guys as much information on this case as things continue to come out. All right. So first, we want to cover the ChristianPost.com. And y'all know that I always read majority of their articles. All right, so the title is Gateway Church founder Robert Morris surrenders, expects to plead not guilty. Okay. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting to see how this plays out. Especially if he's saying that he's going to be pleading not guilty. All right. So it says Robert Morris, founder of Gateway Church in South Lake, Texas, formally surrendered to the Osage County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma Monday morning and is reportedly expected to enter a not guilty plea in court days after being indicted on 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child by a multi-county grand jury in that state last Wednesday. Arrest documents reviewed by the Christian Post show that Morris was formally booked at 7:57 a.m. and released at 8:11 a.m. on a $50,000 bond. So basically, it just seemed like he just walked in there, took his mugshot, did some fingerprint, and he was out. I didn't know that you can be booked and released that quickly. I mean, I always thought that it took a few hours. Okay. I always thought that it took a few hours once you got arrested and, and once you paid the bail, unless the only thing that I can think of is that, and y'all let me know, I mean, I've been to jail a couple of times. Another topic for another discussion. But anyway, but for people who are like more familiar with the system than I am, some of y'all jailbirds out there. But listen, y'all been filled with the Spirit now. So once with some of you, all right. So we're not here to judge. It's a judgment-free zone. All right. So for some of you guys who are familiar with the legal system, is that possible for him to be released that quickly? Because I think that a lot of people, now I've heard before that if you do plan on turning yourself in, especially if you got a bond, try to do it like in the middle of the week. Never try to do it like on a Friday, a Saturday, or Sunday, because if you do it like, especially like on a Friday, they're probably going to keep you all weekend. And then when Monday comes, you're not going to get out until maybe like the afternoon or something. Once they come in and they process all the paperwork. So I guess it's one of those things to where he probably knew he was going to turn himself in. They probably already went down to the bells, to the bond court. And while he was getting fingerprinted and all of that stuff, they paid the $50,000 bond. And as soon as he went in, took his picture, and these dogs are barking. Don't know why they're barking, but I hate when they do that when I'm live. But he probably just, I don't know, maybe it's just different in Oklahoma. Maybe it's just different because I thought that once a person gets booked in, or once a person turns themselves in, like it takes a while for them to actually get booked in, for that information to show up in the computer system, and then the bail bondsman sees that information, and then, you pay the bond, and then you get out, and then that paperwork from the bondsman has to come back to the jail, and then that's how you're released. That's the way I always thought that it was done. I don't know, maybe it's just slow here in Georgia, but yeah, it seemed like he was just in and out, unless they meant that he was released at 8:11 p.m. Okay, now wait, hold on, when was this? No, this was yesterday. No, yeah, he definitely was not out because this story broke like early yesterday morning. So early yesterday morning, he was already out. So yeah, that's crazy. He was only in there for what? Maybe less than 20 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. Morris's attorney, Mac Martin, declined to comment more specifically on the charges, but told the Associated Press he expects to enter not guilty plea on the megachurch founder's behalf at an arraignment scheduled for 3 p.m. Monday. So that's, wow, okay. Dang. Oh, okay. So Robert Morris doesn't have to be there for that. So he didn't have to be there for the arraignment. His lawyer did all of that. Okay, Morris's surrender comes just hours after Gateway Church officials offered prayers to congregants and sought to distance the church from their embattled former leader. The charges stem from allegations made by the now 54-year-old Cindy Clemenshire last June that Morris sexually abused her over multiple years in the 1980s when he was a traveling evangelist, beginning when she was 12. And y'all know, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time that we've been covering this, you guys kind of already know the backstory to this. All right. Nick Lesmeister, Gateway Church's executive pastor of global outreach, reiterated in an address Sunday that Morris, who resigned over the allegations last June, no longer has any formal ties to the church. Quote, last November, our elders made it clear that we had drawn a bright line as a church and we were moving forward, and because we're moving forward and Gateway is no longer involved in this legal matter, we won't be continuing to update you on the proceedings of the case, but we're committed. We're continuing to pray for everybody that's involved and affected in this matter, end quote, like Les Meister explained. In a statement following Morris's indictment, Oklahoma Attorney General Genter Drummond, who served as Clemenshire's attorney while he was in private practice in 2005, said Morris's alleged crimes were, quote unquote, more despicable because he was a pastor when they occurred. And, which I agree. I really think that this probably wouldn't have been blown out of proportion or really have gotten as much attention as it has gotten if this was something that he did before he was a pastor. But the fact that he was a pastor is why this is getting so much attention. And this is why I tell you guys, as Christians, be mindful and be careful of what you're doing in your walk as a Christian. Be very careful about that. Right now, even now. Be careful of the places that you frequent, that you hang out. Be careful of the stuff that you're doing in the dark. You're still getting high. You're still drinking. You're still smoking. You're still fornicating. You're still doing all of those things. Especially when you're professing to be a Christian. Because that stuff eventually comes to the light. And you won't get away with it. And when things like that happen, it really puts a stain on the body of Christ. And it makes it that much harder for others to be able to go out and to evangelize to those who are really seeking Christ. Yeah, it's just sad. It's just sad. You can see how his whole church is affected by that. All right, but let's continue. Quote, there could be no tolerance for those who sexually prey on children, he said. This case is all the more despicable because the alleged perpetrator was a pastor who exploited his position. The victim in this case has waited far too many years for justice to be done, end quote. And like I said before, disclaimer. All right, I'm not victim shaming or any of that. It seems that this information was good being swept up under the rug until he stopped paying that money. All right, because he had been paying this lady money for all of this time. And I think she ended up asking for like a couple of $1 million. And he was just like, yeah, I'm just not giving you that. And she was just like, yeah, you need to pay me or I'm going to go public with the story of what you did to me back in the 80s. And he called her bluff. And now that's why this thing is, coming to the light. But here's the question. The question is this. If he would have continued to pay her money, would this even be an issue right now? Again, not trying to victim shame or anything like that. But if he kept putting money in her bank account like he had been doing all of this time, I think he's been doing this for like the past 20 years or so. But if he continued to pay her, would she have gone public? And these are things that we got to take into consideration. Now, what he did was wrong, totally wrong. And I believe that he does have to be punished for that. And what that punishment looks like, I got to tell you, I really don't know. I really don't know what it looks like. But if he has violated the laws of the land, then I believe that, yes, he has to be punished according to the laws of the land. I don't think that his punishment coming from the United States government is anything that is unbiblical. I don't think it's unbiblical. I don't think that this is any type of Christian persecution or this is, making him somehow relinquish his Christian duties or his Christian rights or anything, or is having him to choose between choosing God or choosing the government. I think that this is something that has been done, and however the government wants to treat this case, I feel that he should be subject to that. All right, let's continue. In 2005 and 2007, Drummond tried to negotiate a settlement with Morris for Clementshire, but Morris allegedly refused to provide assistance unless she signed a non-disclosure agreement. And I think that this is, and we covered this. I've covered this before. If you guys go to my Christian news playlist segment on my channel, you just scroll down, you'll find the video where we talked about that. And that's only for people who's interested. Nearly 43 years after Clemenshire's alleged abuse, she told CP in a statement that she was grateful that the law had finally caught up with Morris. Quote, after almost 43 years, the law has finally caught up with Robert Morris for the horrific crimes he committed against me as a child. Now it's time for the legal system to hold him accountable, she said. My family and I are deeply grateful to the authorities who have worked tirelessly to make this day possible and remain prideful that justice will ultimately prevail. And that is the end of this article. So we're going to continue to keep everybody, keep you guys updated. And there's been some other updates and stuff that has come about, over the past year or so. I just didn't really take time to really address it because I was just like, I've already made a couple of videos on it. But since it is some new developments happening, if I see anything that's worth covering, I'll cover it again. But if not, that's about all that you guys are going to get from me when it comes to this whole Robert Morris thing. So getting ready to play this video. Let me see. Go ahead and put this up, and I'm gonna let this ad play while I am I'm gonna talk while I'm letting this ad play because it's on the Fox 4 website. And let's stop it there. Oh, here we go. We gotta stop it. There we go. Okay. All right. So listen, fair use, you guys, fair use. Let's see what the local reporters have to say on Fox 4 and the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. Fair use. Oh,
into jail in Oklahoma. And former senior pastor of Gateway Church was booked into jail in Oklahoma. He will face criminal charges for child abuse dating back to the 1980s. Good evening, I'm Clarice Tinsley. Robert Morris is facing multiple charges for lewd acts on a child. Fox 4 Stephen Dial is live with more. Stephen.
Clarice, as you mentioned, the alleged crime happened in the early 80s.
Try to see if I can speed this up just a little bit.
The former mega church pastor is facing criminal charges of sexual acts against a child.
Last summer, Robert Morris stepped down as senior pastor of Gateway Church in Southlake, part of a multi-city church network with tens of thousands of worshipers that Morris founded a quarter of a century ago. Monday, he was booked into the Osage County Jail in Oklahoma, days after being indicted on charges of lewd acts to a child. The 63-year-old former pastor was released on a $50,000 bond.
The states implemented things called statute of limitations, which are dates after which a person cannot be prosecuted for a crime.
We asked former Dallas County Assistant District Attorney Russell Wilson why criminal charges can still be brought in a case like this. The alleged abuse dates back to Christmas of 1982. Court documents say Robert Morris, quote, did intentionally touch or feel with his hand the body or private parts of CC, who was 12 years old at the time. CC is Sydney Clemishire, who went public with her story last year. In a statement, her attorney said it is time for the legal system to hold Morris accountable. Clemishire detailed a time in Oklahoma where she says, quote, Morris molested her repeatedly between 1982 and 1985. At the time, Morris was a traveling preacher and would stay at Clemishire's home. Wilson explained how for this type of crime, there is no statute of limitation because Morris no longer lives in Oklahoma.
That was to give law enforcement a fair opportunity to seize the person, if you will, or to look for them, but also to balance the need for the person to be able to defend themselves.
Morris's attorney told the Associated Press he anticipates he will enter a not guilty plea on his client's behalf. Wilson says there have been similar cases here in North Texas where there is no statute of limitation.
From my prior work in the Conviction Integrity Unit with the Dallas County District Attorney's Office, on the one hand, we were exonerating people for crimes that they had not committed who were actually innocent, but there was also a need to be able to prosecute the actual offenders. And so in those cases, we had to look at the application of the statute of limitations.
Last week, Gateway Church responded to the charges by saying, quote, "We are aware of the actions being taken by the legal authorities in Oklahoma and are grateful for the work of the justice system in holding abusers accountable for their actions. We continue to pray for Cindy Clemenshire and her family, for the members and staff of Gateway Church, and for all of those impacted by this terrible situation."
Morris has a court appearance in May in Oklahoma. If convicted, he could face up to 20 years in prison for the charges.
Wow. It's crazy. That is crazy. So yeah.
Need a spotlight on your law firm?
Don't need spotlight on my law firm. So there we go. Let's go ahead and stop that, close that. So yeah, man, the pretty serious stuff. And apparently that there is no statute of limitations when it comes to those particular abuses. You know, it's just so much to unpack. Like, for instance, the fact that he was staying at a family's house. You know, there's a grown man staying at, you know, a house where you have young girls living there. But then at the same time, I guess that you're just like, okay, you know, he's a pastor. Like, what is he going to do to my daughter? I mean, I really trust this person, you know? And I mean, when you really start to think about this stuff, it really is a heinous crime. It really is a heinous crime. And my thing is that I don't understand how he got so much time alone with her. That's the thing that's boggling my mind. I'm like, how did you get all of this alone time with a child? You know, and I know that there's been allegations of this little girl being like extra promiscuous or something like that. And because I think that was like one of his excuses was like, well, everybody knew that she was promiscuous at 12 years old, bro. Like, come on, man.
Bruh.
Come on. You know, I don't care. And at the same time, why should that even matter? You have a wife. So it's just so much going on. It's so much. And like I said, man, this really puts a stain on the body of Christ. Because if people are looking at the church and they're saying that we can't even trust some of these pastors around our families, then how do we trust these people with our salvation? You can't even do the right thing by young people. Then how can I trust you to lead me to Christ? And that's the answer that's a question that a lot of people are looking for. They're asking these questions and they're trying to figure out like how do we square this? How do we square this circle? And a lot of people, they stay away from the church because of a lot of allegations like this. It's like, I don't need this church. Why do I need Jesus when he's raising up leaders who do things like this? But, you know, one thing I will say, and I've said it before, is that, you know, I really hope that he is truly brought to repentance. I really hope that there is some healing that comes after this, you know, and I hope that, and I believe that God is going to get the glory out of this situation either way, you know, whether it's going to be from Robert Morris himself, whether God is going to continue to use him, maybe raise him back up, or whether or not he's going to use that. He's going to go through Cindy, or her grandchildren, or maybe just somebody watching, you know, maybe just somebody watching this, you know, watching my live stream, bringing this out, you know, but I believe that, you know, God is sovereign and he is going to, his will is going to be done no matter what. People can say whatever they want. And y'all know I did the whole tulip thing last night. I went down through the 5 points of Calvinism. And I always get pushback from that teaching. And people are just like, well, how could God, allow somebody to do this and do that? And just like with my teaching yesterday, I think that the onus is on the person who doesn't hold to, the teaching of quote unquote, i.e. Calvinism, which is the doctrines of grace, which I like to call the doctrines of grace. All right. God's sovereignty. So anyway, not to get on top of that, if you guys want to see what I had to say about the 5 points, then look at the episode from yesterday. So check that out. All right. But anyway, let's get ready to get into this next segment. Now, if you guys don't know, Allie Beth Stuckey, I think that she is a person that is, I know she's a part of the Blaze, and the Blaze is, I think that's, what's the guy's name? Glenn Beck. I think that's his publication. So she does have a podcast, and she's like I think she's evangelical Christian, young woman. I don't know. How old is Allie Beth Stuckey? Shoot, messing around. Allie Beth Stuckey might be my age, but she does look young. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm 43. I don't know how old Allie Beth Stuckey is, but I think that we're probably close around the same age. But anyway, she has a podcast and she talks about a lot of conservative topics and a lot of Christian topics. So she has this particular lady on, and like I said, I'm going to get into this. And this lady, she is an ex-New Ager, and she talks about all of the. And I watched part of it. I was watching, pieces and clips of that, of their interaction, which is pretty good. And she's kind of like, this ex-New Ager is kind of dropping the tea on a lot of practices that has been adopted into the churches nowadays. Things that us as Christians, we think that this is Christianity 101. This is what we should be doing as Christians. And this ex-New Ager is just like, you know what? Nope. This stuff that you think that you're doing as a Christian, that actually comes from the occult. So, maybe some of these things you guys may want to stop doing. All right. Maybe you guys want to stop doing these things. All right. But anyway, here is a segment that I have not done, I want to say over a year. So I think it's fitting for us to, let's get into some cooning with Alton. All right, so this morning with Cooning with Alton, for a lot of people who don't know what that is, you kind of had to be around maybe a couple of years ago where I actually started this segment. And let me just briefly say this, explain why this is called, quote unquote, Cooning with Alton. It's because whenever you as a black person, you have a different take on like political stuff. Like if you don't really hold to a lot of leftist leaning, Democrat leaning ideologies or the whole herd mentality of how all black people should think, which I think is, really racist to its core. It's a racist way of thinking. But if you don't hold to that, then you are considered a coon. All right. That's one of the things that they call that. That's one of the things that they call you. Right. You hear guys like, Dr. Umar Johnson. He kind of uses that term a lot. He kind of says stuff like this.
Coon chip will activate. It only takes a little bit of white brainwash to activate the coon chip in the average Negro.
So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Bruh. It is what it is. If you are not thinking a certain way, they're gonna strip that black card. And listen, my black card has been stripped
to this day. To this day.
I don't think I'm ever getting my black card back. Anyway, enough about me. All right. So this is what's going to get me considered a quote unquote coon as I get ready to cover this segment of Allie Beth Stuckey's reliable podcast. All right. Or is this what do they call what do they call these types of things? Because I think a podcast is only when you have it's just sound, audio, no visual. So I guess this would be a vlog cast. I don't know. Guess so. But anyway, I like the way that she did the chapters at the bottom, because you can go to like different chapters, different parts of the videos, or the different parts of that particular stream, and kind of jump to a chapter to go to the relevant parts that are in question, instead of trying to sift through the whole thing and then try to figure out exactly the part where the part is that's in question. So if you guys do go to Allie Beth Stuckey's podcast or YouTube channel, it is called Relatable with Allie Beth Stuckey. And if you go around to like the 56:28 mark, then this is where this clip starts. All right. But if you want to watch the whole thing, you can go ahead and do that as well. All right. Now, like I said, I have not watched this, so I'm going to be reacting in real time at 1.25 speed. And hopefully she don't flag my channel, but fair use.
We're going against God. If I'm going against them, I'm going against God. And so I've had to kind of take a position where I have to understand I'm talking to somebody that actually believes that this is a divine thing that's happening within them.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
It's going to be controversial. And I don't know if you've talked about this, because a lot of the theology, obviously we see it.
Oh, you better believe it's going to be controversial, because you're a white woman talking about black people? You can't do that. You cannot do that. Not today in America. Not today in America, Miss Allie Beth Stuckey. Your skin is too light. Your hair is too straight. Well, it might not be too straight. You could probably get away with the straight hair, but that skin tone? All right. Let's hear this controversial statement.
And all different kinds of churches, all different kinds of places.
Sure.
This seems to be especially prevalent in majority black churches.
Oh.
There's a lot of prosperity preaching, but a lot of, as you're talking, I'm like, I've heard that a lot. You are divine. You are a queen. You are, a goddess, something special. And
yes, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you've ever talked about the roots of that or why that is.
It's interesting you bring that up.
Is it bad to call a woman a queen? Is it bad to call a woman a queen? Because we do say that a lot in the black community. They're quick to call you king and queen and all of that stuff. Anyway, let's get back to it. Stop my babble. That's what I want to know. Is that wrong?
That is a controversial question, especially today's political climate. But I guarantee there's a lot of people watching that are like, Allie's not wrong. There's something there. And I was reading Kate Bowler's book. Do you know who that is? Yeah. And there's a whole section on this that she talks about with the black church and the prosperity gospel and all these other theologies that kind of entered into the black church. I mean, Carlton Pearson is one of them. Carlton Pearson was a Pentecostal Word of Faith preacher, Reverend Ike. And both of them were very off when it came to a lot of their teachings. That's like an origin there in that regard. I haven't looked too much into it, but you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I have friends. I have a friend, in fact, we've talked many times. She's black and she talks about this a lot on her. She's in ministry as well on her channel. And that's one thing I asked her. I was like, so what's up with this? Like how does this, how do they square this circle? How do they make it so that, maybe in some of their churches that aren't black have a different view on these things,
And see, this is the thing, and this is what I tell black people all of the time. When we're out and we're doing stuff, and I'm not saying that I do or believe in any of these things myself, but I will say that and I'm no spokesman for the black community at all, But when white people are asking some of these questions, to be honest, some of them are genuinely asking. I mean, how many, let's just be real. How many of you would believe that a person like Allie Beth Stuckey and this lady that she's talking to would be attending church at somebody like Jamal Bryant's church, or they would have attended Reverend Ike or Carlton Pearson's church on a regular basis? Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. They're basically on the outside looking in. You see what I'm saying? You're on the outside. They're on the outside looking in. So when they start to ask these questions, a lot of times they just like, man, we really just want to know. Like, seriously. When we really start to see these things happening in your churches, and we're like, okay, this is not happening in our churches, plus we don't see this in the Bible, they have some genuine questions. And I think it's fair. And this is why, and I tell a lot of black Christians this, you got to stop trying to look at people's skin color and have this worldly, secular mindset. And sometimes are all downright racist. Listen, there are some racist black Christians out there. I've ran into plenty of them. And there are some of them who have called me coon, called me Uncle Tom. Because I'm just like, hey, listen, let's try to leave race out of this. Let's really start to stick to the Bible. So that's why I tell black Christians, I'm like, man, listen, learn how to have serious engagement with people. Don't think that just because a person is a different skin tone than you, then that automatically means that you have to give them pushback because of the color of their skin and all of the stuff that black people went through in this country. If that person claims to be a brother or sister in the faith, then receive that person as a brother or sister in the faith, but not, well, yeah, we brothers and sisters in the faith because we both believe in Jesus, but there's still a division between us because of our skin color. You'll never get anywhere like that. All right, let's get back to it.
The black church is very different. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that you're wrong in that.
A lot of the prosperity preachers that I see, like we played a clip the other day and it was like kind of a funny clip, but it was this
Which
older,
one was it?
She was this older white lady. I had never heard of her or seen her before, but she was using a food analogy. She was like, when you need oil in order to fry all of these things, but
I saw that clip.
what oil do you use to fry bacon? Yeah, you don't need it. And it was like, you are your own anointing oil to give yourself power. So it's this older white lady, but almost the entire congregation was black. I don't know if people know who like Real Talk Kim is. She's got like over 1 million Instagram followers. Oh, yeah. She talks like that very prosperity preacher. Same thing. And she's just this like, 40-something white lady. Almost her entire congregation, it seems like, is black. Yeah. And so I don't know.
Now, is that a problem? Is that a problem? Because some of the same people that are so quick to call you coon and Uncle Tom, they'll be following a lot of these, white people who can talk a certain way and they can bring in a majority black audience. And it's like the black people, they're okay with that. They're totally fine with a white person coming in and speaking a certain way to black people and gaining an audience, and they, no problem. Oh, she gets us. She understands the community, this, that, and the third. But if you have another white person that's questioning some of the things that this other white person is saying to a majority black audience, now this now the black people have a problem with the white people that have a problem with the white person that is basically fleecing the black people, instead of them having a problem with the white person that's fleecing the black people. And it's just like, my thing is this. And this is why the question comes up. Like, why are we as black people so susceptible to that stuff? We're so blackety black power this, black power that. But if a white person comes in and says something that draws a crowd of mostly black people that nobody bats an eyelash. It's just like, oh yeah, yep, thumbs up. There ain't no white supremacy here. You know?
I don't know. I just think that is interesting. And
Yeah.
I wonder.
What's the correlation there? Like,
Yes. I
yeah.
wonder why specifically in majority black churches that seems to be very prevalent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. That'd be an interesting thing to look into, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next video for you. Okay. Tell us anything else you want to say about this book. What do you hope people walk away with? What's the main thing you hope people learn?
And I think that's it. I think that she's kind of going into her book. All right. Go ahead and remove this. So I think she's going to kind of go into her book, and they're going to talk about that stuff, for a little bit. Yeah, but come on, man. We got to be honest. We got to be honest when it comes to black people, especially the black church. And people don't like me when I talk about the black church, but listen, there is a such thing as the black church. Let's just start being adults. And I've explained this plenty of times. It's just so funny how people want to have this, oh, well, the church is colorless and there's no such thing as a black church and this, that, and the third. Listen, stop. Just take the blinders off. Because sometimes it seems like that people put these blinders on because they just don't want to deal with certain topics. So it's better to just say, well, there ain't no black church, there ain't no white church, it's just one church. Yes, it is. But when we're talking about the black church, we're talking about a specific group of people. And a lot of times, this specific group of people has taken the choice to separate themselves from white churches, Asian churches, Indian churches, and all of that. And the reason why we even have a black church, if we go, let me just get a little bit of black power going on. And I'm black, y'all. And put my little black power into the mix. But the reason why there is a such thing as a quote unquote black church is because of racial injustice in this country. Oh. I know people gonna be like, oh, it sounds like you kind of moving over there. No. Just being real. Let's just be honest. Black people came to this country via the slave ships. Well, black American people. We came over here by the slave ships. So after the Emancipation Proclamation, black people were set free, but there was still segregation. Black people still were not treated equally. Then you had the Civil Rights Movement. And like I tell people before, my grandparents were young adults in the Civil Rights Movement. My great-grandparents were middle-aged people during the Civil Rights Movement. My parents grew up as children in the Civil Rights Movement. They remember certain parts of segregation. They remember when busing and all of that stuff was happening. And this is only about 60 years ago. So this is still kind of fresh in some people's minds. And all of that time in history, black people couldn't just walk into a white church and just start worshiping with white people. Not in the South, you couldn't. You could have messed around and got beaten or lynched or whatever. You come walking up in the white church, and then there were some churches that integrated, but the white people had to sit at the front, black people had to sit at the back. Black people can worship, they could do all of that stuff. But when it came to ordaining ministers and preachers and all of that stuff, it was all white people. Oh. Let's start being honest with the history, y'all. Let's start having some of these conversations. And this is not to try to bring white guilt on white people or and try to elevate black people and all. No. Let's just have the conversation to understand why certain things are the way that they are. So we can start correcting some of these falsehoods. So therefore, when you had a lot of segregation in the churches, black people, they went out and they had to branch off and they started their own churches because they wasn't going to get it from the blessing of the white people. The white people wasn't going to ordain them and allow them to preach in front of their congregations and do all of that stuff. Just to be honest with it. So they said, okay, well, we got, sound men who know how to preach the word of God. We'll go ahead and appoint them as elders, as pastors, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how you end up getting a quote unquote black church. Now let's just think about it. Now the Klan had their own church. They had their white churches, quote unquote. And some of them still kind of exist to this day. All right. Now remember, I covered a lot of the racism that's going on with Christian nationalism. So we cover everything on this channel. So we can rightly divide this. This is what we're about. Rightly dividing this. We don't play identity politics here. If it's wrong on one side, we're going to talk about it. If it's wrong on another side, we're going to use this right here to divide truth from error. So this is why we have a black and white church. And given all of the history, or the short part of the history that I just told you, it has been a little easier to have black people being swindled or being duped or being led into certain ideologies based on their situations here in America. Some black people, they did not have the luxuries that a lot of white people had. They had a lot more things that they had to deal with that a lot of white people didn't have to deal with growing up in the church. You have a lot of our black churches that are filled with single mothers dragging the kids off the church. And then in the 80s, especially when the crack epidemic happened, you got a lot of these parents, the mothers, they were out there strung out on drugs. So guess who had to take care of the children? It was the grandparents, the grandmother or the great grandmother. You see what I'm saying? So what do? Majority of the time, they took them, they drug them to church. And then with high fatherlessness inside of the black community, majority of the people that went into the church were women. And then guess what? The pastor, now he has to teach these kind of feminized messages because, he had to teach these messages to keep these women continuing to come and continuing to pay their tithes and offerings. So it's a lot of history behind that stuff. So therefore, you have some of these people that they may have come from pagan backgrounds, or they may have read a certain book or listened to a certain person that was like really influential, and they started to pick up a lot of these ideologies and started to mix it and mingle it with the scriptures. This is how you get a lot of new age thought into the church, especially the prosperity. It doesn't really work too much in white churches, but there are some white prosperity preachers. Maybe not as many as black ones. But again, going back to black people who are living in poverty, the whole week they're going through all types of stuff: eviction notices, lights being cut off, people going to jail, people dying. 6 out of the 7 days of the week, they had to deal with this stuff. So the one day that they can kind of escape from that is when they went to church. Preacher gets up there and tell them that, hey, everything is going to be all right. God is going to bless you. You've been a faithful servant. You've been paying your tithes and offerings, and God is going to do something for you. And there have been cases where people have been paying their tithes and offerings to the church, faithful stewards to the church. And some of these people have ended up getting blessed. Not saying that it happens all the time or paying tithes is a way that you get blessed, but some of these people, out of faith, they continue to pay and support the church. And some of these people ended up being blessed by that. So what do you think happens when sister such and such living in a 2-bedroom apartment, is just her and 5 kids and they're on welfare and all of that stuff, but she's still taking whatever she got, paying it to the church. And then one day, sister such and such ends up getting a job, or one of her kids end up, graduating high school, going off to college, and becoming some pro basketball or football or baseball player, and come back and blesses their mom with that. Take them up out of the hood. Now they don't have to live in roaches and rats, and now he's taking care of his mom and all of his younger siblings. And then he comes back to the church, the pastor that's been faithful to that congregation, and he drops money to help get the church taken care of. Helps get that roof that's been leaking for the past 15 years. He gets that roof taken care of. Pastor struggling to drive his old beat up truck to church. He goes and he buys his pastor a new a new truck. Helps renovate the church. So there are some things that do happen, and guess what? All glory goes to God. But on the flip side of that, you got people who prey on their parishioners in order to line their pockets. Trust me, we talk about that too. And we're going to continue to talk about that because it's wrong and it's sinful. And if those men and women don't repent, they're going to hell. Simple as that. Your Juanita Bynums, your Creflo Dollars, your TD Jakeses, all of these people that's running around here and they're fleecing people just to keep putting money in their pockets, they're going to go to hell if they don't repent. And that's the God's honest truth. So what happens is that you get these wolves that enter the church and they say, well, yeah, and they start telling all of these stories, all of these TED Talk type stories. Yeah, y'all remember sister such and such, and she got a testimony for y'all. And, remember when, her husband went out there, got on crack and got arrested and dealing with the wrong crowd. And he was shot, found in the alley. And she had to take care of all 5 of them kids by herself. Then she had to turn around and take care of a couple of her nieces because her sister was strung out on crack. But she brought all of them children into the church every Sunday. And she still paid them tithes. Eviction letters on the door, God still made a way. But you know what it came from? It came from them tithes and offerings. She did it with faith, just like that lady with the 2 copper coins who walked into the temple and said, see? And Jesus said, look, she gave all she had, and God blessed her with that. Now, some of y'all working good jobs. Y'all ain't on welfare. Y'all can give a little bit more. Sister such and such, she used to, give $10. $10 every Sunday. Now, some of y'all can afford that $100 every Sunday. Y'all can afford that $1,000 every Sunday. Sow that seed and you're going to be blessed. Some of y'all want new cars. Sow that seed. Some of y'all trying to add on to that 2,000 square foot house. Sow that seed. Some of y'all want to be able to fly private jets and fly from Atlanta to Cancun on a private jet. Take your wife somewhere real nice. Just sow that seed. Money cometh to me now. And this is how some of this stuff ends up in the black church. And majority of a lot of our black churches. You see what I'm saying? So, but we got to be willing to have these conversations. And we got to be willing to have these answers too. And to talk about it. And like I said, we can't be walking around here just looking to be triggered all the time and looking to, talk about lines of like racial, I'm talking about racial inequality all the time. And, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, I'm black, and they Christian, and they white. But at the end of the day, they white folks, and we got to keep our eye on them because they might be MAGA white Republicans. They might be, MAGA Christian nationalists. It's like, no, let's start using discernment. And I say this a lot. It seems like that us as Christians, we've gotten so lazy. We don't want to discern what is true and what is false. We've gotten so lazy to where we don't even want to discern people anymore. Somebody says that they're Christian. Oh yeah. All right, cool. That person's Christian. Good with me. And sometimes you can be watching some of these people. Like I've watched some of these people online, right? holding their podcasts and their live streams, showing so much unchristian-like behavior. And everybody like, yep, yep, thumbs up, thumbs up. But then when that person starts to get exposed, now everybody, oh yeah, I was over there. But now that everybody is against them, now I'm against them as well. You see what's happening with Robert Morris, right? When this thing came out back in the day, hey, this is what Robert Morris is doing with this young girl. Guess what his church leaders did at the time? Yeah, we just gonna sit him down, for a little bit. I think they sat him down for like 2 to 6 months or something like that. But within 2 years, he was right back up in the pulpit, pastoring a church. But now, all of a sudden, when all of this is coming out 40-something years later, now his church we got to make him step down. And we didn't know all of this stuff was going on. Because we've gotten lazy. We're not letting this lead anymore. We're letting our feelings and emotions lead people nowadays. And this is why you have a lot of these things going on in the black church. And this is why you have people such as myself and others who see the errors that are happening within the black church, and they're making provisions to correct those things. You see what I'm saying? But, this is why we have to continue to pray, continue to study our word, continue to preach the gospel in season and out of season, and give people the truth. And if we really do believe that a lot of black people that are in the black churches is our true brothers and sisters in the faith, well then, hey, let's give them the gospel in love. And that goes for any other church, even those Christian nationalists, you know what I'm saying? Still struggle with that. But listen, if I do run across anybody who is a Christian nationalist or something like that, I pray that the Lord gives me strength, all right, to be able to have a, just a decent dialogue and a respectful conversation with a person who is a Christian nationalist, a biblical conversation. All right. But anyway, man, that is the end of this segment. Cooning with Alton.
Coon chip will activate. It only takes a little bit of white brainwash to activate the coon chip in the average Negro.
All right, listen, man, thank y'all for showing up. And look, I'm just a little bit over an hour. So it's not going to be like that one that was like 3 hours. Now, hopefully, I can get this all processed and I can get this uploaded. So therefore, it'll start at 10 a.m. this morning. All right. And you guys will be able to watch it right on time. So, hopefully you guys can have a little something to watch, on your drive to work, or, if you're at work, you're at your desk, you want to pop your headphones in and listen to my mindless babble, for an hour. You guys can do that. But anyway, listen, if you guys have any stories that you want me to cover or you want me to talk about, man, go ahead and send it to me at that email below. Go ahead and email it to me, or, comment in this video. Hey, what about this? Do you want to, I think you should take a look at this, or, what's your take on, on that? Just go ahead and let me know. And I'll check out the stories or some of the topics that you guys may want me to cover. And listen, it don't even have to be a news story. It could just be, just a general question. If you guys want me to elaborate more on my soteriological view, which is seems like what a lot of people are interested in me talking about, or if you have a certain passage that you would like for me to expound upon, do something like that. And and I'll try to add it in with these daily shows, because I don't really like covering articles and stuff all the time unless it's important. But, you know, other than that, I do like trying to keep my channel biblically centered. So, but anyway, listen, y'all already know what to do as y'all get ready to head out and enjoy the rest of your morning. Like this video, rate it, share it, subscribe, hit that notifications bell. So whenever I get ready to go live or drop a video like this in the morning show, or drop a one-off video, you guys will get a notification and you'll watch as soon as I upload it. All right, so listen, I will see you guys next time. Lord willing, peace.